Hi, my friends. Welcome to my channel. I'm Allie Wilkins. If it is your first time here, welcome. And if you're back again, it's nice to see you again. I'm feeling your energy. I really appreciate those of you who share and like the videos and comment with, what actually really supports you with the videos. So I love that you guys keep coming back to watch the videos. So today we're going to talk about a subject that I think a lot of people, specifically women, are very uncomfortable with, and a lot of times we hide from. And the topic is healing the toxic feminine. So it's very, very easy for us to point our fingers at the distorted masculine, to point our fingers at men in particular. They're not showing up in the right way. They're not doing this. We're not being protected. They're taking control over this and that. Warranted, right? We obviously want to feel protected and to feel revered and honored as feminine energy. I'm going to leave that right there. And there's a huge piece of responsibility that's lacking when we do that. So if you think about the concept of being a leader itself, it requires responsibility. So if you are constantly pointing the finger of blame at someone else, you hear a lot in the personal development community, like, turn your finger around and look at yourself, look in the mirror. You can't ever point at somebody like they're the problem without reflecting on yourself too. I'm not saying in all cases that's going to be true, that like someone can't just be totally like a narcissistic manipulative freak, like, and they're just really operating out of like, I don't want to say evil, but that's the case sometimes. However, in most situations, if you are someone who values responsibility and leadership, you're going to be able to find something in you that is actually corresponding with that energy. So I sent an email about this today. I sent an email out a few days ago. Whenever I talk about toxic femininity, I get the most unsubscribes because I think that people just don't want to see that, especially in the sort of society we live in, where it's very easy to point our finger at the masculine or at these people in white suits or at these people, who are in our legal system. It's very easy to pretend that we don't have anything to do with that. So something that's very uncomfortable to listen to as a woman, or especially as a mother, something that's very uncomfortable to look at within yourself, is a toxic feminine in relation to all of these like abortion laws that are coming out or that have been overturned. Okay, so just take a deep breath, because what I'm about to share it's going to trigger 99.9% of you. A lot of you aren't going to like it. But it's just something I'm asking you to sit with. I don't need you to agree with it, but it's something to think about and sit with. So where do I want to start with this? When we are in outrage over a law that is wrong to begin with, like, no one should have control over our bodies, that's obvious. But when we're in outrage about this and we're like thinking that we have no control and no power over certain things, this also reflects that we actually don't know our innate power as feminine consciousness. So this is a really beautiful opportunity for us to learn about our ancient civilizations, our ancient, the truth of the feminine that's been hidden for so long. It's a beautiful opportunity to do that and to painstakingly look at the areas of our life where we are not operating in that energy. And so the Roe versus Wade stuff brings a really powerful opportunity. I already did a video about this, so I'm not going to talk about that part too much. I'm going to mention the one thing that you're going to be uncomfortable with, and then I'm going to move forward. So I'm going to put in one of these corners, I don't know which, I'm going to put the link for the Roe versus Wade video. Something to think about with becoming a mother, and just in our society, what the relationship is to creating a child. I think that this is fascinating. I hope that you guys do too. And I'm setting the intention that you aren't super offended and hate me, but this is something that I think is really important to share. So why do people have children? It's always for a selfish reason. 98% of the time. I know like 2 people who have had children because they connected with the spirit of that baby and talked about it and had a conversation, and the baby was ready to come in. We have not been taught about that at all. Something with the goddess tradition, when a goddess births a son or births a baby, there's a light body conception. So that's actually what happened with Mother Mary. We hear Mother Mary is a virgin. That's actually because the creators of the Bible could not, no pun intended, could not conceive the idea that she could have had a baby out of wedlock, and that it would be, or I'm sorry, out of, without having sex, and it be the Christ. There's a lot else, there's a lot more with that too, but it was actually a light body conception. So there was physical sex occurring, but it was a energetic experience where the subtle energy bodies were merging together and bringing through an energy. So very different than just like having sex, right? So in our society, we don't see motherhood that way. You hear about people, I want to have a baby. This is the part that's going to be triggering. I love you all. I'm sending you all so much love. I want to have a baby, and so you have a baby. I want to have a baby so that it can heal my marriage. I want to have a baby because I'm getting old and I'm not going to be able to. I. All selfish reasons. And this doesn't need to be your truth. I'm not saying that I'm 100% true in this. This is a concept that I think is true, that I'm also like, whoa, nobody in our society does this. Nobody in our society does this. So when I've been studying about ancient societies, one of the things I thought was so interesting is that babies, when they were born, a mother would only have one child for every like 6 to 10 years. There wouldn't be all these babies being popped out one after the other like we see today. And that was so that the child could actually get the full care, the full nourishment, the full attention that it really truly needs for it to be a healthy individual growing up. You know how you always hear about, and I know so many people that this relates to, like the middle child syndrome. It's like the middle child always gets overlooked. They may not be getting the attention that they actually need because there's too many other kids in close relationship and age that may need more attention, or that may get more attention. So I just thought that this was so interesting that they would have children every 6 to 10 years. And it just goes to show you that so many of our principles that we've been taught about childbirth, childbearing, all of that stuff are not in line with the goddess, are not in line with the consciousness of divinity, that aren't in line with the consciousness of true, like, healed spirits coming through. There was something else I wanted to share about this. What was it? I talked about the slave labor thing in the other video, so go watch, I'll put it up here. Go watch that video about why our government actually wants more babies to be born in relation to our economy. But yeah, we're not really in touch with the divinity of almost anything. We don't combine spirit with our economy. We don't combine spirit and sexuality. We don't combine spirit and sacredness. And most of what we do, they're separated. And so moving back to the concept of healing the toxic feminine, these are like this is what I just shared is a big, broad, widespread part of this. These are huge. But for you, what you can do is look at, where in my life am I operating out of toxic feminine behaviors? So a really good example of this is like the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial that just happened. So many people are pointing fingers at Amber Heard, and it's like, we've all been raised to operate from toxic masculine and toxic feminine, which is ultimately both of them are formed from the removal of the divine feminine, from the removal of the great goddess, from the removal of the mother energy, the divine mother. So you can point your finger at Amber Heard, but have you looked at yourself? You may not be showing up in the same ways that she is, but what is your form of toxic feminine? Because trust me, you have one, if not multiple. What is the way in the subtlest of ways. Most of the time, these aren't, like Amber Heard, that stuff from what I saw about it was very blatant, very like, these are obvious manipulations. But in our own lives, we do this in small ways to create a sense of safety, to create a sense of control. And when you're really honest with yourself, you'll start to see that, oh, I wore this because I want to be I want him to do this, or I did this because I want her to do this for me, or I am doing this so I get this result. That's actually manipulation. It's not coming from purity. And so when we start to get down into those really nitty gritty things, it's like, fuck, like I'm doing this all over the place. And so there has to be this level of honesty that we come to within ourselves of like, where am I operating from toxic feminine? Because it's not just the toxic masculine or the distorted masculine that's leading the world. It's also the toxic feminine. We all have the ability to show up as a leader and to take responsibility in how we're showing up in those ways. So that is becoming very apparent in the media with things that are showing up in the world right now. And so whatever is happening in the media is sometimes an offering of what's available to be healed on a collective level. Now, many of us have been working with this for years, but on a collective level, this is something that's like, hi, here's this little droplet. Are you guys going to look at it? Or are you going to continue pointing your finger at this person saying that, oh, she's the worst. What a psycho. Okay, well, where are you a psycho? Where are you a psycho? So I share a lot of this type of stuff in my emails if you prefer reading things or you just want to have other sorts of information from me. I'm more of a writer than, like you can see, I'm not the most eloquent speaker, but I do my best. So if you want to get my emails, my intention with my emails is that I pack them with value, that you will learn something or be activated within every single email. I do offer things at the end of my emails like, hey, I'd love to invite you into this if you want to go deeper. Here's a YouTube video I did for free if you want to learn more about this. Here's a free thing you can download. So I do offer that stuff at the end. A lot of the times it's free and sometimes it's paid offerings. But in the beginning, I always am going to offer you deep value because I want to share the knowledge, because that's how we change the world, right? So anyways, if you want to add anything to this conversation, please put it in the comments. I am by no means the full expert in this genre, but it's something that I've worked on a lot in myself, and I'm still like, oh, here's a whole treasure trove. Like when we're honest enough to look at the tiny, minute ways that we're doing certain things, you send a certain message so that someone will see you in a certain way, or you do something in a certain, it's like coming back into our divinity, into our healed nature, is doing things purely from unconditional love. And where are we doing that from? Like, oh, there's a little snark here, or there's a little woundedness here, or here's my abandonment wound trying to keep me safe. Where are my wounds showing up trying to keep me safe? And when we are willing to have the bravery to look at that, that's when the world heals. And it starts with us individually, because then once we learn how to do it, we can share it with others and apply it in corporations and in family dynamics and in so many other ways. So anyways, just have the willingness to look at the toxic feminine, because unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people who are like, toxic feminine, what? That's not a thing. It's all the men. And it's like, no. Like, please understand that the feminine consciousness is what leads. Feminine consciousness leads. The masculine follows that. The masculine leads in physical action, but they're following your consciousness, because I'm pretty sure it's just women watching this. They're following your consciousness. That's within yourself as well. So anyways, I hope that this helped. If it did, let me know if you want to share anything or add any comments or share what you thought about that first thing that I said about, children and how children are being born. Please do. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. And I'll share the link below if you want to receive my emails. I will share that in the comments. So that's all. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye.